everyone, it's Lottie here. Today's video is all about our recent family adventure to New York City. In today's video, I'll be sharing what we got up to on our trip, some of the toddler-friendly activities that we enjoyed the most, as well as tips and advice on things like getting around the city, the type of accommodation to go for, and scheduling a rest day. So keep watching for everything you need to know to have a relaxing and an enjoyable holiday in New York City with the toddler in tow. Okay, I wanted to talk about a few important topics before we get into the vlog part of the video. Let's start with transport. It's really easy to get your family from the airport into the city. At JFK, when we arrived, there was a huge line of taxis waiting for us. There was a lady at the airport who showed us where to stand in line. We only waited about 5 minutes before we were given a taxi that took us into Brooklyn, where we were staying. It took about 40 minutes, I think, so not long. We were staying in Park Slope in Brooklyn, so if you're going from JFK into Manhattan, I would say allow for about an hour for that trip. New York City is a large city, of course, but it's also a walking city, and that's how most people tend to get around. So with that in mind, I recommend that you take a pushchair or a trike with you, depending on the age of your toddler. They probably won't be able to walk around all day, even though Finn is quite energetic. He definitely spent a lot of time in his trike while we were pushing him around, and actually it was a really nice, stress-free way to explore the city, and there's something new around every corner for you to discover. We have a smart trike, which we're pretty happy with. It folds up. It's a little difficult to do that, but it folds up. And again, take something with you that you can easily stick under your arm if you're going to go down into the subway or into a taxi. If you need to buy something new for your trip, do some research before you go and make sure that you're buying something that's quick and easy to fold up. In terms of longer journeys in the city, if you want to go from Brooklyn to Manhattan, for example, your two options really are either the subway or jumping in an Uber or a taxi. Of course, the subway is much cheaper, but it does involve a little bit more effort, especially if you have multiple children with you. With Finn, we decided to try the subway after a very expensive ride in an Uber, which put us off a little bit. So we took him down into the subway, and he enjoyed the first 15-20 minutes of each journey, but then got a little bit bored. So if you are going to try the subway with a toddler, make sure you have a toy or a book or something to entertain them with for the journey. With regards to tickets for the subway, it's very, very cheap. There is a machine in every station, which after a little bit of toing and froing, you can pretty much figure out. We got day passes for the three of us. I don't think you have to pay for toddlers, but we did just in case. And a little tip I'll give you is if you get your tickets and then one person goes through the barriers, opens the door that allows you and the other person to get through, instead of trying to struggle and lift your trike or pushchair over the barriers. If convenience is more your thing, then there are plenty of Ubers and taxis around. You won't have to wait for very long to get one. Do bear in mind though that they are extremely expensive, particularly at peak times. You're probably going to be spending about $40 for a 30-minute trip, which is, very expensive. So we only used Uber a few times when we were too exhausted to get on the subway. One final thing to mention before we move on to the next section, make sure that you pre-book your transfer from your accommodation back to the airport. We didn't do this. I totally forgot about it. We ended up booking an Uber Black. So Uber Black is the luxury version of Uber, and the benefit of this is that they actually assign you a driver in advance. With Uber, you just get assigned whoever's around at the time, and because our transfer was early in the morning, we needed to be collected at 4:30 in the morning. I wasn't confident that there would be any Ubers around, so I booked an Uber Black and spent $120 for a 30-minute journey to the airport. So don't do what I did and make sure you pre-book it before you go on holiday. Next, let's talk about accommodation. If your budget will allow, I recommend that you book an apartment in New York. Yes, it's expensive, but having a bit more room is going to be better for your family if possible. We like to book a 2-bed apartment wherever we go. It gives Finn his own room and we have our room. This provides a little bit of separation so that you're not on top of each other all the time. And it also gives the flexibility that if Finn needs me during the night, I can sleep in bed with him and Adam can have his own room. Everyone sleeps better, everyone has a better holiday. So if you if your budget will stretch to that, then go for that. If it won't, it's absolutely doable to just have a hotel room and have your family in there. This is what Adam and I and Finn did over Christmas and New Year in Phuket. We were all in one room, in one bed, and we managed. Yes, by the end of the holiday, we were pretty much sick of the sight of each other, but we managed it and we managed to get okay sleep. But in an ideal world, having your own bed, having your own room is much better. Having an entire apartment to yourself also provides a better environment for your rest day. I will talk about this a little bit later on. This is one of my little holiday hacks that I swear by. Before we move on, I also wanted to mention about booking airport hotels. So if you're flying from an airport that's not near your home, we live in the northeast of England, and when we go abroad we often have to go down to Gatwick or Heathrow. Do yourself a favour and book an airport hotel for the stay before your flight. So especially if you have a morning flight, the last thing you want to do is be rushing down the motorway and then stressed out because there's queues. So booking a night in, just a Premier Inn or Travelodge, something cheap, just a bed for the night so that you can wake up in the morning refreshed and catch your flight in the best frame of mind to fly. Let's talk about food next. My recommendation in terms of food is that you have breakfast in your apartment or your hotel room most mornings. This is going to save you money, it's going to prevent the morning rush when people are jet lagged, and it's just all around better for a family. You have that time to connect in the morning, to eat something healthy before you set off for the day. Everybody's tummy's full, everybody's happy and full of energy, ready for an exciting day in the city. Our daily routine in terms of food went like this. Breakfast in the apartment in the morning that I made for us, lunch out wherever we were in the city, and then the evening meals, again we were back in the apartment because Finn does go to bed very early. He was in bed by 6 o'clock every night while we were on holiday. This might not sound like fun to a lot of people because you want to go out and have dinner together. That's absolutely fine. If that works for your family's routine, that's great. It just doesn't work for our routine. So if you're like us and your child goes to bed early, you can either take them out in their pram and let them sleep in a restaurant. This doesn't work for Finn. Or you have takeaways from Uber Eats or something in the apartment. New York has so much choice that you're never going to feel that you're missing out because you have to eat in the apartment. We had amazing Korean, Japanese, Chinese, Italian food in the apartment, and it was a real treat for us. Brother-in-law this time. And finally, before we move on to the vlog part of the video, I want to talk a little bit about my secret weapon that I use to make sure that every time we go away we have an amazing holiday. It's the rest day. This one's a biggie. I found that we do so much on our holidays with Finn that we all get a little bit tired, a little bit fed up, and we just can't seem to last the entire holiday with the energy levels that are required to really enjoy ourselves. So I decided to schedule in something called a rest day. So I added this into our holiday by adding an extra day onto the end. This meant that halfway through the holiday we could just have one day in the apartment where we didn't go anywhere. We just had time to snuggle together, reconnect together, to talk about what we'd done, to look at photographs and videos of what we'd already done. So it gave us all time to process what we'd been through, the things we enjoyed, the things we didn't enjoy, gave us time to nap, to watch movies and just cuddle up together and decompress after a few days in a really intense environment. As I said, we did 8 days in New York instead of 7 because of this. We didn't feel that we were taking away from the holiday at all because we added that extra day. So yeah, this really worked for us and I recommend you give it a go too. Okay, on to the recommendations part. So we'll talk about playgrounds first. This is something that was very important for Finn because we needed a way to get his wiggles out in the morning so that he was happy and content to do more adult things for the rest of the day. New York has more than 1,700 parks and playgrounds across its 5 boroughs, and we hit quite a few of them. Here's a selection of the ones that we enjoyed the most. I was so impressed with the quality of the vast majority of the parks, and of course Finn was in heaven. We visited a new park each morning so that he could burn off some energy and play with other children before we started exploring the city for the rest of the day. well as there being many parks, there's also lots of toddler-friendly activities. It was really important to me that I organised activities to do that Finn would enjoy, of course, but also that Adam and I would enjoy, and I think I definitely achieved that. There's so much to do with kids in New York City that I had to be really selective about what I scheduled in. I knew that we couldn't possibly do all of it, so I highly recommend each and every one of the things that I've listed here. I also want to discuss a few places to eat. We all know that New York City is world famous for its cuisine. You can get food from all over the world here, and the choice is just mind-boggling. So it would be impossible for me to create anything like a definitive list of where to eat. The following is just a few of the places that we visited that we really liked. Even if you have a picky eater like we do, it's guaranteed that you're going to find somewhere to keep everybody happy. Alright everyone, thank you so much for watching my New York City vlog. I'm sure you can see from the video that we had the best time. I was a little bit concerned whether New York was actually going to be a place for a toddler. It absolutely was, and I will recommend it 100% to you. You can have so many different types of holidays in New York. Whatever you want, it can provide. And if you're looking for advice on having a stress-free flight with your toddler on the way to New York City, I've created a video for that. I will link it below in the description so you can take a look. I would really appreciate it if you would like this video, if you would subscribe to my newbie channel, and if you would click on the bell so you can see when I've made new content. You can also find me on Instagram. I will pop a link for that below too, and I post on there very regularly, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.